What's up, y'all? Today we are talking about why I struggled with sexual sin so much as a Christian. That's right, as a Christian. Now, I know some of y'all who've been here for a while, been rocking with my channel for a little bit. Y'all know a little bit about me, right? And y'all have heard me talk about my struggles with sexual sin and everything, right? For the reason why I actually feel so strongly about abstaining from sex until marriage. But today I want to talk about why I struggled so much with sexual sin. Sexual sin in general, and obviously as a Christian as well. So we're going to start from the beginning because I want y'all to understand why I feel so strongly about abstaining from sex, why I speak the way that I speak, why God, revealed so much to me while I was going through this in my life, So let's start. So why I struggle so much with sexual sin, I think first we got to start off from the beginning, and I want people to hear what I'm saying. When we, for one, let me talk real quick before I go into my story. When we struggle with something, always remember the symptoms of something is the surface level. So there's always a root to a symptom. There's always a root to something happening, right? So we always got to go back to where this possibly started. With me, I learned that it started when I was young, right? Growing up, I was around so many guys that wanted to have sex. I grew up in an environment where it was popular, right? I know y'all probably hear it. Not everybody lived this life or went through this same thing, but it's popular to have sex with women, right? Or with girls at the time because I was young, right? I was a kid, right? So you grow up and you around this and you start to feel the same thing. But what's crazy is I had to go further back, right? Because I used to think I'm only this way because of my environment, but I got to go further back. I learned that the reason why I struggle so much with sexual sin, and when I say struggled, I mean, I was trying to have sex all the time, y'all. I was trying to bag every girl. Y'all may not like the words that I'm saying, but this is how I talked, right? This is how I talked. And I still talk like this in a lot of ways, but I bagged. I was always trying to bag a girl. That means I was always trying to pull a girl, right? Attract a girl to me. I was always trying to get a girl to like me, right? Not even try to like me. I just wanted her, right? And I was always trying to have sex with her. I was always trying to smash, right? And it was crazy because it was like a habit. But again, it was because of my environment. I wanted to always do this. This is how my life was. I wanted to always get a girl. How can I get a girl tonight? How can I get a girl tomorrow? How many girls I got on my line? When I used to go to the club, it was like how many girls I got in my phone if I don't get a girl at the club. I'm trying to tell you, like, it was bad, y'all. Everywhere I went, when I'm at somebody's crib, somewhere where I knew somebody at, I'm trying to bag a girl. I'm trying to smash. I'm trying to have sex. When we would have kickbacks, I would always end up getting a girl or a girl like me or something like that. And this happened. It was just keep going in a cycle, like boom, 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 boom. Like every week, every weekend, every time someone was going, like, I promise y'all, this is how my life was. And I was unaware to this. But again, I had to go back. When I got closer to God, God revealed things to me. And what I learned is that this actually started when I was a child, right? My mom and my dad, they sent me to Virginia. So you got to think about, well, my mom sent me to Virginia. And you got to think about how that was abandonment. First, my father left me when I was a kid. Then my mother sent me to VA because she didn't want me to grow up in the streets. And, my father wasn't there and all that because she didn't have help like that and all that. And my other family was in Virginia. So now I'm struggling with abandonment. And when you add in that my family is not affectionate, my family was not affectionate, y'all. So, I got a little distant relationship with my mother. And then My family's not affectionate. The women are not affectionate in my life, right? So then you add on the strain of my relationship with my mom. Now you got to think about, you know, the love that I didn't feel. Now, people might say, well, you know, your family could still love you. Yes, they can still love me. And they did love me in other ways, but you got to understand, like, I didn't have the affection. I didn't have no affection. I didn't have no affection. I didn't have, you know, that soft, feminine type woman in my life. Whether it was my aunt, my grandma, any of them, they wasn't like that. And my mom definitely wasn't like that. So I didn't have like that womanly touch. But what I did have was my grandfather. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I had my grandfather had my back all day, every day. He was with me all the time. So I literally, I'm gonna say I grew up around a man, and I grew up around boys. But I didn't really grow up with that feminine, soft, loving touch of a woman. I didn't. That's just what it is. I didn't not feel love from my family. I did feel love from my family, but I didn't get that. Plus, my relationship was strained with my mom, so that shows the, you know, the love that I also didn't get from my mother itself. Now, when I grew up, you know, I started getting older, and now I guess I was feeling like I wanted love. I wanted love, right? I was seeking love now because of what I didn't get. And I started to do that in school, right? You know, I guess when you don't get that affection or you get that love in the house, that from that affection, that is, or from that comfort or that nurture that you desire, it's a natural thing. You desire it naturally. When you don't get that, then you start to seek it outside of where you're not getting it from. And I was doing that. Not to mention now that I'm around all my cousins, I'm around all the boys. A lot of them didn't have their fathers in their life either. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, a lot of them, most of them, I don't even remember their dad being around. I can't even lie. I probably only had like a couple friends or cousins who had their fathers in their life where I seen them, right? But we didn't have our fathers. Yes, I had my grandfather, but I didn't have my dad. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, you know, I started to see that life. Now the guys I'm with, they all trying to get girls. They all trying to, you know, pull girls. They all trying to have sex with girls. And what was happening is if this girl liked you, or you got this girl, you had sex with this girl, you get respect. So not to mention my dad going, you know, you need your dad. That's where you feel respect from. That's how you gain respect and all that. And of course I have my grandpa, so I'm gaining it, but it's different because there's still a disconnect because my pops ain't there, right? And I'm starting to seek everything outside. So now I'm starting to do the same thing, y'all. I'm starting to do the same thing a lot. And not to mention that girls is liking me. So I don't always have to go after a girl because girls was liking me. So when girls was liking me, I was trying to have sex, y'all. So this started at a young age. I started to have sex at a young age. And then it just consistently kept coming. You know, it grew and it grew stronger. It grew stronger and stronger. And I was always trying to have sex. Like, if I was in a relationship, I was always trying to have sex. Even from middle school, y'all, I was always trying to have sex. From middle school up until like 11 years ago, right? So, and that's what happened. I literally started to get conditioned to it, and I didn't even know. I was unaware to it. I guess I started to run to sex for comfort. It was like, what do they call it? A soothing mechanism, or a coping mechanism. A coping mechanism. I was literally using sex to soothe what I did not know that I was feeling at the moment. Because obviously I wasn't getting something, so I was desiring something on the inside. On one side, I'm being taught how to be tough, but then on the other side is like I'm seeking this softness because I'm not receiving it nowhere else. And that just blew out of hand, y'all. Like, again, I just started going crazy. Like, I wanted to have sex all the time. And then the club scene, going to the clubs, and yes, I'm gonna talk about the clubs. Going to the clubs is just like you could get a girl. Like, I could get a girl, take a girl back. It was crazy, y'all. I don't think y'all know like how crazy it was from high school. Cause we would go to clubs sometimes in high school. You know, from middle school, high school, it was sex, mad girls, sex, more girls. I'm gonna go back to the college thing. Then it would be girls from different schools. It would be girls at the games. It would be crazy, y'all. And again, I'm not saying this to boast. This ain't even about boasting, y'all, because I don't have sex right now, right? But this is literally, I'm trying to tell y'all literally why I was struggling with sexual sin. When you look at the pattern, look at the pattern of my life. From abandonment to not feeling affection, to not being comforted, not feeling nurture, from women to having sex all the time, from trying to get all these girls. The pattern, I consistently kept doing this over and over and over and over. And not to mention, I was in an environment of that. So now all the guys around me, we all trying to get girls. We all trying to get girls. We going different places to get girls. We bringing girls to the crib. Not to mention now we beefing because of girls. We fighting because of girls. We getting into problems because of girls. Like, my life was conditioned to this. It was almost like I was conditioned to have sex. Not even, I was conditioned to do this, right? Like, my mind was on autopilot to get a girl, get a girl, get a girl, get a girl. Why you don't got a girl? Why your phone dry? Your phone can't be dry. You gotta have this girl, gotta have that girl. To the point that when I got to college, y'all, that I even told myself, I literally told myself I had to have a starting lineup. When I'm keeping it real with y'all, I would say I gotta have a starting lineup. And I would always say every semester, I literally made a rule, like a law for myself when I was in college. Again, y'all, I'm 38, I'm about to be 39 next week. This was back when I was like 20, 21, right? So this was some years ago. But I would literally tell myself, I created like a law or a rule where I would say every semester, I gotta get a new girl. I gotta get 1 or 2 girls every semester. Every semester start, I gotta get a new girl, right? Like a new girl. Not to say, of course, I was getting other girls, but I just want y'all to know how twisted this was, but how normalized it was, right? Because this was a regular thing. You walk up to people and they be like, yo, what's going on tonight? You got girls, yo? You got some joints? They'd be like, yeah, man, got some girls. Or they be having a kickback and it's like, yeah, we got some girls coming over. I don't think y'all understand how this lifestyle is. This is why I consistently emphasize abstaining. Now, again, I kept going and going and going, and my life was consistently like this. Always going to the club. Even though I wasn't really a clubber, I'll be in the club posted up, just chilling, right? That's how I was. But my mind was always on women. My mind was on women, y'all. Women. How can I get this girl? How can I bag this girl? How can I look good to bag girls? Because of how I grew up, it was flashy. Like, I had all the sneakers, I had jewelry and stuff when I got in college or before I got in college. Like, I started to try to be the fly guy because I knew you could get girls like that, even though I wanted to be fly anyway back then. But I knew you could get girls like that. It was almost like everything we did was to get girls, for real. And that life is empty, man. I ain't even gonna front. But that's how I grew up. Got to college, started doing that. I met my daughter's mom. Me and my daughter's mom got together, and then we broke up. Once we broke up, matter of fact, before we broke up, right before I even got in a relationship with my daughter's mom, that's when I actually started getting closer to God. This is probably like 2010, 2009, 2010. It's when I started getting closer to God. It's when I started reading my Bible, right? This is where I started to realize all this stuff God had saved me from, but this is when I started getting closer. Got with my daughter's mom. I was trying to get closer to God. Then that wasn't really working because of the relationship. We broke up. And then once we broke up, what I noticed when we broke up was, I noticed something. I started to look at my patterns, and I noticed had to be God, because I never one time in my life ever thought about this. But when we broke up, I literally started to have sex again. So like, I got mad girls that I could see. Literally, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. As soon as we broke up, I remember going to the hotel room and I had a girl come over there, already lined up. Like, soon as we broke up. Happy. Had other girls. But what I noticed was I started to see what I was doing. And I thought about it. I thought about how in my life, every time I had broke up with a girl in the past, I would eventually start messing with other girls right after. Because I didn't like to cheat. I was still loyal even back then. I didn't like to cheat. Even though I did cheat like once or twice, right? I didn't even want to do it then. But it did happen. I'm keeping it real. It just happened, right? But I was usually the guy who never wanted to cheat on nobody. But what would happen is after I got out of a relationship, even in the past, I looked back in my past and I realized that every time I got out of a relationship, I would just go straight to other girls, because it was like the life that I had before the relationship, I can now do again, right? Like, it was regular for me. So it's like, if I break up, and I got other girls, I got mad girls, right? I'm just keeping it real. That's really what happened. But when me and her broke up, I was getting closer to God, and this came to my mind, and I was like, I was literally like ashamed of myself. I was like, what is wrong with you, bro? Like, why every time you break up with a girl, like, you gotta go jump on other women, or you gotta be with other women, or you gotta have sex with all these girls? And I did not like that. And I was like, man, this is whack, right? Obviously, I'm still looking at this is coming from my relationship with God, so I know it's because he wants me to. But then I also realized nobody actually ever told me that I should stop having sex. Nobody ever told me that I should abstain. Nobody, it was not normalized nowhere possible in my life. Nowhere in my life was it normalized to not have sex. For anyone to say stop. I don't remember nobody saying, Rudy, maybe you might not want to. Maybe you need to stop. Like, maybe you don't gotta always. I never heard nobody saying that. So I looked at myself and then I was thinking about God, and I'm like, yo, I need to stop this nonsense because I ain't got no self-control. I looked at myself like, how could I continuously do this? Like, what's wrong with you? And then I started to look at everybody else like, why are they doing this? Like, why do we do this all the time? For what? Like, and then I started thinking about the problems it caused from emotions and issues and being connected to somebody. And I thought to myself, like, I ain't never not had a woman, or never not had sex, or never just stopped to have. I never stopped having sex. And then I'm like, why haven't I? And what's wrong with me? Why do I have to try to get a girl? Why do I have to try to have sex? And then I said, I need to stop this. Literally, I remember I said, yo, I need to stop this. God don't want this. And then I started thinking about love. Like, we do all of this and we want love, but what if I stopped having sex? Would somebody still want to be with me? What if I stopped having sex? Can I actually build a relationship with somebody when I stop having sex? Then I started thinking about, ain't this what women want? They don't want a man to just want to have sex with them all the time. I started to think about all of that. All of these things come to my mind, and I was like, I would be much stronger if I could stop. And this is what I learned of the reason why I was struggling with sexual sin so much. Now, here's the thing though, because I said why I was struggling with sexual sin as a Christian. Now, when y'all look back at my life, but then I started to want to abstain. Once I abstained, I tried to get rid of everything. Like, I wasn't trying to go nowhere where women were. I tried to stop texting women. Like, I started to do all of this, y'all. I started to stop doing all of this, y'all. Like, I was thinking about everything that was causing me to do this. And it went from flirting. It went from the places that I went. It went from how I'm talking to women, how women are talking to me. It went from all of these things, man. And then I started to think about my past, with my parents, with my mom, what I was like. It was all of this. And I may not have seen all of this at the moment, right? So most everything that I just said, I seen at the moment. But as I got further into my relationship with God, I started to abstain, but then I failed. I failed after like a year and a half of abstaining. And that's where I actually started to learn more of the things. I started to learn my weaknesses. I started to learn how I feel when I get weak. Like if I feel sad or if something bad happened. Kind of like what I said, like a coping mechanism. You know how people eat when they cope? You know how people do drugs when they cope? It was like that. And y'all might say, yes, an addiction. Yes, I think so. And I think that's why God doesn't want us to have sex, right? And more things. Because now my past can affect my future. How I thought of women, how I felt and what I wanted from women can affect my future, can affect my life, can affect my time, can affect everything and my marriage. How I am, how I think. Like it could cloud so much. This is why I struggled. Because at the moment when I started to abstain, this is when I started to get closer with God. But then I fell a year and a half later. So yeah, I was going hard for a year and a half. I wasn't going places. I wasn't going to Bible studies, boom, boom, boom. And I fell. But I fell. When I fell, I wasn't actually trying to have sex. I was just trying to talk to someone and communicate with them and help them with what they was going through. And then I fell because they were so aggressive. But why did I fall? Because they were so aggressive. You understand? Because that's what I thought about. Like, if I'm going so hard, how could her aggressiveness or aggression or whatever it is towards sex that was, her deep sensuality or whatever it is she was feeling towards me, how could that cause me to fall? And that made me think about the perimeters and boundaries that I actually also didn't have even with Christians. You understand? Like, I struggled also because I was weak. I was still weak from my past. I was still weak from my past. See, people think it's just the surface level. Oh yeah, I won't have sex. No, 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 no. That's surface level. When you stop having sex, that is the surface part. You need to figure out what is causing you. What is your weaknesses? What is it that weakens you in your mind and in your heart? Because what weakens you in your mind and in your heart causes your actions to follow behind that. You understand? And that's when I learned my weaknesses even more. That's when I learned why her aggression or how strongly she was acting towards me caused me to fall, right? It's because I hadn't felt loved. It's because I wanted a woman. It's because I didn't put the right perimeters and boundaries around this thing. It's because I didn't understand how to stop something before it started, right? Of course, I was doing a lot then, but again, I felt weak. I need to put perimeters and boundaries around even my weaknesses. I need to understand when I feel weak. I need to understand how to catch something early before it grows, right? So if a woman, even if she's flirting just a little bit in some type of way, blase, blah, I still got to be able to catch that. You understand? And that's why I struggle. When you look at my past, you see how I consistently kept falling and falling and falling. You see the lack of love. You see the lack of comfort, the lack of nurture, right? And then a woman's touch that I didn't usually get from even my family that I wasn't used to. I was literally deficient in this area. I was on empty in this area. So that's what caused me to be weak. And that's what causes us to be weak, y'all. God let me up out of that. God let me up out of that. That's why I have been abstaining from sex for years now, right? For years now. Like I told you, I eventually stopped. I eventually stopped in 2017, December. I have not had sexual intercourse with not one person since then, y'all. I have not had, and of course, I felt weak. I ain't even gonna lie, like right after that. Because even though I stopped, right after, I almost did. But then I had to get back up, right? I didn't actually, but I had to get back up from feeling real weak. And that's when I got stronger. And that's why I heavily encourage abstaining from sex, y'all. This is why I say you shouldn't do things. You shouldn't go places. You shouldn't act the way. You need to be able to catch certain things. You need to look at your life. You need to look at and find your weaknesses. You need to figure out what is the root cause. so that you can know where God can keep you stronger. You need to know how to put perimeters and boundaries around certain things. You need to learn people you can't go around, conversations you can't have, right? Music you can't listen to, movies you can't watch. Or if you even catch some of these things, you just got to learn how to be strong and skip through it. Because if you catch it by accident, because even looking at social media makes us weak, because of a picture or video could just pop up out the blue. And now it's in our minds. So how we going to be strong when something just pop up out the blue? This is why we got to learn to stay strong when it comes to abstaining. And this is exactly why I failed. This is exactly why I struggled with sexual sin so long before I got closer to God, and even when I got closer to God, y'all. All right? I just want y'all to know this. I made this video. This is a vulnerable moment. I hope it blessed y'all. I hope you send this to somebody that it can help. I ask that you please like up this video so it can get to the people that it needs to get to. Subscribe if you are not subscribed, and share this with somebody that'll benefit from it. All right? I love y'all, and I'm going to get it y'all when I get it y'all.